I discovered something about the before time in music. When you're just starting out and you're wondering, is any of this music ever going to solidify? Am I ever going to make a proper piece? And the truth is, it's going to. And years later, when you look back on your old work, you might think it was some of your most creative. Because when you're just starting out, you have this battle, this contrasting battle between pushing the envelope and doing what you've heard. And you're learning from the things you've heard, and that's probably why you got into music in the first place, because you heard some things you liked. I can't imagine why somebody would get into music just not liking anything they've heard. So the good news is, the more you save of your original work, you might be interested to hear it later. I have thousands of works, and only handfuls of those works actually made it into the commercial sector. But I lost a bunch of my works in a computer crash a long time ago, and man, I miss having the ability to double check that previous time in my life, that previous pile of works. And it might still be some of it in the copyright sector, because I was still in the process of sending my material into the copyright board so that they could have a version for their file. Anyways, so when you look back on it, it's going to be an interesting experience if you can hold on with music. Now, I'm not saying music is going to make you money. Nobody really knows what's going to happen with the financial system. It's nuts. But you still come up with some really, really crazy things when you're just starting out in music. And when you zoom out of that and you're like looking all these years later, it's like, holy smokes. Because when you're working in the creative realm, you're way up in the clouds and you have no idea how you got there. And that, I call that the ecstasy of creativity, or the ecstasy of invention. You have like 1,000 different things, and you're working with those 1,000 different things. You said, I'm going to take these 100 of those 1,000, and I'm going to develop this. And so you're way up in the stratosphere or in outer space, and you're like, oh my God. And this does not include drug use. This just includes the creative process. It just gets that crazy. I mean, if you're going in and you're sampling spoons, it's gotten out of hand. So that's what happens when you go back and you look at it and you think about, how the heck did I do that? What was I thinking? What was my state of mind? When I first got to San Francisco, I was very aware of my state of mind all the time, and I was concentrating on that. And it was something that I was like, what the heck? Like, why does it always shift around and do all these crazy things? And all the time I'm still making music, and I'm conscious of my state of mind. But years later, I have no idea like what my states of mind were. I just remember thinking about states of mind. So you're not going to remember what the heck you were thinking unless you like literally recorded everything you ever did, which, who knows what's going to happen these days. But man, the stuff that I came up with for just various side projects, it's the side projects to get you from the side. And when you're working on these side projects and then you work on something maybe for yourself, and you're doing that in between all this stuff, you're like, what the hell? Because there's these interference patterns with your main motive, right? And so anyways, I just wanted to mention that there is a time after the before time when you solidify works and you say, that's good, that's the seal of completion. But you'll still appreciate the creativity of the original time when you were just starting out. And you may even respect that to have more validity and more structural foundation than where you ended up years later. So that's just a thought. You don't have to feel uncomfortable about the music creative process, because really, it sounds nuts, but there's no wrong notes. There's nothing you can do wrong. That's kind of why I got involved with music. Because yes, you can make horrible sounds, but you're still doing sound design, or you're still doing something that's going to stimulate the music ether, So there's always a place for all this stuff. That's the beauty of music. So if you enjoy that creative outlet like music, and you look back on it all these years later, you may really appreciate what you have previously explored.